Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am very ready to get started on this project, and I am so glad you're here with me. If you are new here, my name is Rhonda and I love to create journals. I use journals to document my life. I use them as a scrapbook. I use them as a way to tell my story, and I love creating them so much that I've started an Etsy shop. So in that Etsy shop, you will find some handmade journals to help you document your life, as well as some scrapbooking items and other memory keeping items are in that shop as well. So if you haven't yet, the link is down below. Go ahead and check that out. Mark it as a favorite shop. And if you are not new here, if you've watched my videos before, let me just say thank you. Your support means so much to me. I love that you guys give my videos thumbs up. I love that you leave me comments. I love that you subscribe. It truly does help my channel grow, and I really do appreciate that. So what are we doing today? Today I am going to start building a journal for me. If you've watched my videos before, and if you haven't, I have them in a playlist. It's my flip through playlist. I have a flip through of my yearly journal, and I have been doing a yearly journal, yearly scrapbook for years now, and I finished the last one that I did in March. If you have watched that flip through video, it will make more sense to you as to why I kind of start partway into the year. It's not, my journals are not done on a calendar year. The way that I started documenting my life years and years ago, I happened to start in April, which is when my birthday is. So I document from April to March, and I document a birthday year of my life. So that is why I am starting this late in the year. It is August right now. I should have started this journal in April. I am behind on that. So I've got a few months to catch up, but before I can do that, I need to create a journal. So I'm going to do something a little bit different this year. I like to mix it up a little bit each year that I do a journal. I like to make it a little bit different than the year before. And that can be a different medium. I can do, I've done pocket page scrapbooks. I have done traveler's notebooks. Last year I did a little golden book junk journal. So this year I decided I would do something different, and I would create my own journal from scratch. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. So what I have in front of me are two different sheets of paper, and they're just computer paper. And this was for me to try and figure out what size I wanted to make my journal. Now, the great thing about making my own journal from scratch is I can make it whatever size I want. Now, the little golden book junk journals are roughly a 6x8 size, and that size worked great for me, but I thought for this year, to mix it up a little bit, I would do a different size. So I cut these two pieces of paper. This one is a 7x9, so I added 1 inch to the height and the width from the little golden book. And then I also did an 8x10. And I cut these, and I've left these sitting here for 3 or 4 days. And every time I walk by my scrapbooking room, I take a glance at it and see which one draws my eye each time. And what I have found that I am leaning towards is doing an 8x10. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away because I'm not going to do that 7x9. I'm going to do an 8x10. So I'm really happy with the size of this. I think this will give me a great foundation. I'll have a little bit more room. If you've seen my videos, I take a ton of photos. I document everything, and I don't feel like I want to weed through my photos and use only the good ones. I want to use them all. So I want to create something with a little bit more space. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. So I'm going to create an 8x10 journal from scratch. All right, so what am I going to need to do that? Well, the first thing I've got is some chipboard, and this is going to be my front and my back cover. Now, these are 12x12 pieces of chipboard, and these I've just saved. I tend to order a lot from scrapbook.com, and when you order single sheets of paper or single sticker sheets, they put them in a bag, but they put the cardboard in there so that they don't get bent. And it's a 12x12 size. I don't know if I mentioned that, but they're 12x12 sizes, and they're perfect for creating journals. So they're roughly, it might be hard to see, but they're roughly about 1/8 of an inch thick. And I love to keep them just because like I said, they make perfect covers for journals. So I've grabbed 2 pieces of these, and I'm going to cut these both down to 8x10. And when I'm finished, I should have, because the width of this is only 8, I should have 4 inches left, and that 4-inch piece is going to become my spine. So we've got those 2 pieces here that I'm going to use. The other thing I'm going to use, and this is just something I use, this is not something you have to have. This is a piece of Tyvek. And Tyvek is that super strong paper. They make like packaging envelopes out of them that you can't tear it. It doesn't rip. It's very, very strong. You may have seen it like when people are building houses, they put Tyvek on. You'll see the Tyvek logo on a house that's being built. It's just super, super strong, and I love to use this to reinforce my spine. Now, as I said, you definitely do not need to use Tyvek. I just happen to have sheets of Tyvek, so I'll use it, but you do not need to have the Tyvek, so don't worry about that. If you do want to get some, I bought these sheets off of Amazon, and they were relatively inexpensive, so that is what I'll use to reinforce my spine. I did forget to mention that this journal will also be a no-sew journal, which I have not done a no-sew journal in years, so there will not be any sewing of my signatures in, which, hallelujah, my fingers are extremely grateful for that. It can sometimes be challenging to sew in your journal, so I'm going to try this by making it a no-sew journal. So what I'm going to need is something to hold my signatures in, and I've got these. They're called file bands, like they're rubber bands, and these are not latex ones, they're silicone ones. I got them off of Amazon. They came in a package that looks like this. Again, relatively inexpensive. I think this whole package was $12. But I love all the different colors. I can make so many journals with these and not have to worry about sewing in my signatures. So again, this is the package. Lots of cool colors, but I'm going to use 3 of the black because this journal is going to be kind of a black and white looking journal. Okay, so I've got those. I'm also going to need glue because I'm going to need to glue down my paper to my covers. I'm just using PVA glue. Again, get it off of Amazon if you want it, but any glue will work. I'm sure Elmer's glue would work. You could use a tacky glue. You could use any kind of white glue that you want to glue down your papers to your covers. So that's what I'm going to use, and I'm also going to use a foam brush to brush that on so that I don't get clumps of glue underneath my paper. All right, so let me set this aside, and then I'll share with you what I'm going to use for my cover. I am going with a vintage floral theme. Now, I did this last year in my last journal. This is just very much me. I'm very much drawn to vintage anything. I love vintage floral. I found this collection and it is like right up my alley. It's exactly what I want to use. So I am going to use this paper. This is from the Simple Stories Simple Vintage collection. And I bought the whole package, the whole collection of the Simple Vintage, and I just love it. So I am going to use this paper for my cover. I think I'm going to use this paper for the back, my front cover. This will be my back cover. And then the way I'm creating this journal, I'm going to need 2 pieces of paper to cover the inside. So I've just pulled out a couple other pieces of paper. I think I might use this one and maybe this one on the inside, but you can see very, very neutral, very black and white, very cream color, very neutral. Again, this is just so me. I am definitely not, I don't use bold colors. I'm not a bold color kind of person. Now, one thing I wanted to change up from the way I have made a journal in the past, when I created the journal and I go to cover the spine, I have used paper. And I find that that doesn't always work. So I am going to do what I would do on a little golden book cover, and I'm going to use fabric. So I've got this piece of fabric. This came from my mom's stash. My mom is a huge quilter. She has owned 2 quilt shops, and the woman has more fabric than you can even imagine. So I always go over and steal fabric from her. So this is a piece from my mama's stash. So I'm going to use that for my spine. And then I've got random bits and pieces here I'll share with you when we get to it. But like I said, I bought the whole collection from the Simple Vintage. We've got all kinds of bits and pieces that I can use to cover, or to embellish my cover, I should say. Okay, so that should be all we need, I think, to get this party started. So let me, just for the sake of time, I am going to step away and I'm going to cut my cover so that we can go ahead and get started. I'm just going to use my paper cutter and I'm going to cut these to an 8x10, and then like I said, I should have a 4-inch spine at the end. So let me go do that. Okay, so I've got my 2 covers here. Again, 8 by 10, cut super easy because that chipboard isn't super thick. And then, as I said, I was going to end up with a 4-inch strip left, and I just cut that down to 10 inches. So I've got my 2 covers and my spine. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is use my Tyvek, and let me show you quickly. So my Tyvek is going to go here. I've cut this an extra inch, so this is 5 by 10, and then I'm going to glue this on here. Now, if you weren't going to use Tyvek, this is where you would use whatever piece you're going to use to cover your spine. So if you were going to use fabric, I would just pull my fabric down. Obviously, I would trim that down to probably a 5 by 10, and I would use my fabric and just go ahead and glue that down there. Does that make sense? Okay. So, but because I'm going to use my Tyvek, I'm going to put this here. My spine is going to go in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So let's get some PVA here. So that's glued on there. And now we're going to take and add our front and back covers to this, and we want to leave just a little bit of a gap here so that when the book folds, we've got some room here and it's not like butted right up against that spine. So we want to leave just a little bit of room. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue here. All right, so then I can turn this over, and then I'm just going to press this just to make sure it's all down and smooth. And then I can also, because I've used this PVA glue, any wet glue will work, but you have a little bit of wiggle room if you need to move it around. Okay, so this is how this is going to look. I think I need to, add a little bit more glue here. And I can smooth it out and smooth it over. This is all going to get covered, so it doesn't really matter. And if you want to, you can add some more glue just to make sure the edges are really glued. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Just add a little bead of glue. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, and then when I come back, we'll go ahead and we'll put our piece of paper on here, just like that. Okay, this is pretty dry right now, so I'm going to go ahead and work on the front cover of my book. So when my book closes, it's going to go this way, and this is going to be my front. So I'm going to go ahead and get my paper measured here. Now, again, I don't measure anything, I just eyeball it. So what I would do is leave about 3/4 of an inch to an inch overhang here, because you're going to want to wrap this around the cover of your book. So that way it covers your raw cardboard edge, and it gives you just a nice finished look. All right, lay this one down. All right. So you can see by looking at this, this is the top of my spine. I've got plenty of room here with the papers to fold them over and create a nice finished edge on both the top and the bottom, and over here on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do my spine here. And because I'm going to do my fabric, I just need to figure out how big I want to make this. So I'm just going to lay this down and figure out how much of my paper I want to cover with this fabric. So I'm going to say, I like that there, maybe about an inch or so. You just want to make sure that when you closure book that you can see a good, I would say at least an inch overlap on your front cover. So let's go right about here. I'm just gonna cut a little notch in there, and then this is my favorite part. Ta-da! No cutting, no anything. And my mom did explain to me that the only reason you can rip it like that and have it come out straight is because it's 100% cotton fabric, which I had no idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some PVA glue here. And don't forget, it's going to overlap on your back cover and your front cover about an inch, so make sure you add enough glue to do that. And then all the way down the spine. Okay. But let's just match this up and lay that down. Okay. Smooth out my wrinkles and make sure that I've got this all glued down. Okay. So you can see this is what my cover's gonna look like. This is what the back cover's gonna look like. Obviously this needs to dry, but then we're going to fold everything under, fold this up, fold this down, and then I've got a little bit here where I can use to cover that. Okay, one thing I forgot that I wanted to do here. So I have this piece of black ribbon that I thought would be really pretty to add to my front cover, but I wanted to put it underneath this piece of fabric. So I'm not totally dry yet, so I'm gonna pull this up, and it's ripping my paper, but that's okay. This is gonna all be covered. Right. So let me go ahead and just add that to the glue and see how, look at how pretty that looks, that ribbon on there. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered it before it was totally too late. Okay, let me trim this down here. Oh, that looks so pretty. I love the look of that together. Isn't that going to be just such a beautiful cover? Oh, love it. It's a little while later and we are all dry. So just to show you that cover, the front cover. So glad I remembered to grab this lace. I had a vision of how I wanted this to look, and it would not have looked right had I forgotten to put that underneath here. So really glad that ended up working out. So now what I'm going to do is just take these excess edges here and fold those over, and I'm going to glue those down. And I'm going to do that all the way around. The one thing I am going to do when I get to my corners is I'm going to miter them. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut across here so that when these fold in, I have a nice point over there so that those crisscross. I also used a bone folder just to help crease those edges and give me really sharp edges on that. So you can see when this is closed, I mean, ignore the flaps up here, but look how cute that's gonna look. Super happy with how that's turning out. Okay, we're looking good here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the binder clips off, but I'm gonna keep them right here because we're gonna need them for the next step as well. And the next step is to do the inside of our cover. So I pulled these two pieces of paper, and I think what I want to do is put this one on the inside cover. It kind of goes with the floral on the outside, and I think I'm going to use this number one on the back cover. All right, so what I'm going to do is measure here, and I like having a little bit of a border here so you can kind of see some of the front cover paper showing through. So I think I'm going to leave a little bit of that. So let's see where we want to cut that. Okay, let's see how we did. Perfect. And that one looks perfect as well. Now I'm not so concerned about this side being covered because once we finish wrapping our fabric, that's not going to show. Okay, so let's get this glued down. I think this is dry, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these off. Now the last step that we have to actually creating the base for our cover is to fix the fabric that's going to go in the spine. All right, so I'm going to fold these over and glue that there. Fold these over and glue that there. And I have an extra strip, so this is the remainder of the strip from when I pulled this off. Okay, so then I'll take this ribbon piece. It's just like a velvet ribbon, and I'll attach that there. That'll finish that edge, and it will cover where I've got that gap. Okay, so we're gonna let this all dry and then come back and add that ribbon. Okay, so the inside of my cover is dry. The fabric is dry, the papers are all dry. All I did was take off the binder clips that held this paper all in one place while it was drying, and I went ahead and added my ribbon. So I took this, where's it at? Just this little velvet ribbon, and it was the perfect width to cover the where the fabric came over on my cover, both on the front and on the back. And then I also used it to cover up where my two pieces of fabric didn't come together fully on the sides. So I think that turned out really well. Obviously my fabric is not lined up or anything, but that's okay because my signatures are going to go here and you will never see that. That's why I didn't really worry about what this looked like. But I do kind of want the sides to be nice and finished. So I think what I'm going to do while these ribbon strips are drying, I think I'm going to work on my cover. Now I want to, I think, decorate this a little bit and add a little bit to this corner over here. So what I did, I went to my stash and I pulled out some stuff that I thought might work. So I'm primarily using like blacks and grays and cream colors. So I pulled out a bunch of stuff and I'll show you real quickly what I've got. So I've got this black doily. I thought that might be fun to use. I've also got some tickets, some vintage tickets here. I just pulled out some tags. There's just a lot of things that I thought I might want to use. I'm certainly not going to use them all, but I like to have a, you know, a wide variety of things to pull from when I am working on my cover. So I've got some of those roses. I've got some butterflies here. What else do we have? Another rose. There's some little stamp looking tags that we can use. More butterflies. And then I've also got, I know I talked earlier about using the Simple Stories Simple Vintage collection. So this is what I've got here for that. So I've got some washi. This has 5 rolls of washi tape in it, and I like that. I also like these are botanical bits, which I can pull out. Again, I don't have much room over here, so I'm not going to use all of this stuff, but I just wanted to show you what I have available to me to go ahead and use. I've got the sticker book, got this ephemera pack, there's the take note bits, I've got some rub-ons, and then I also got some 6x8 paper. So this is just what I'm going to be using throughout, but I can also pull things from there if I need to finish this cover. Super simple. I didn't want to go overboard because there's a lot going on here. I've got the pattern in the lace, I've got the pattern in the paper, I've got the pattern in the fabric over here. So I just wanted to keep it super simple. And I love this sticker. Tell your story. What a perfect title for my journal. Okay, so the only other thing I need to do to the cover then is put on my rubber bands. So again, I mentioned this was a no-sew journal, and that's what these rubber bands are for. So I'm going to do 3 signatures in here, just like I did in my last yearly album. And I'm just going to put these rubber bands on here, and this is what's going to hold my signatures in place. So in lieu of sewing, we're going to use the rubber bands. And I'm so glad there's black. They just really blend in with this, and you can't really tell they're there. So I like that a lot. Put that one there. And then we'll go in and add this one. And again, these are file rubber bands. So we've got these on here. Just want to make sure that they're sort of straight. They're not super twisted or anything. Okay, there we go. Look at that, blends right in. You'd never really even know they're there. Okay, so you can see on the inside, again, Don't even know they're there. All right, so I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I am going to let this finish drying, and then I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to work on the signatures. That should be the easy part since there's no sew. So I will say thank you right now for joining me for part 1 of this video. If you would, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if any of this at all appeals to you. But again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time for part 2. And again, we'll create the signatures. So I will see you guys then. Take care. Bye-bye.